Hey, Board Gamers, BJ Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. It's episode number 135, Gumbo Live, the number one Facebook Live talk show in Omaha, Nebraska, dedicated to board gaming. Our special guest tonight, it's Jordan Hopper of the No Cube Zone podcast, Board Game Gumbo, a proud member of Punchboard Media. Hey, check out some of our other fine members like the Party Gamecast. You know Bruce and them. Podcasts about party games and the games you take to parties. Bruce Vogue and the rest of the Party Gamecast love to talk party games, and they celebrate the fantastic world of snacks with their What the Food segment. If you like party games, the Party Gamecast is always the right choice. Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Speaking of Punchboard Media, check out our friend Carla Kopp, Weird Giraffe and Galactic Raptors Games. She's a member of Punchboard Media. She does a lot of great blogs and videos, but right now she's got a Kickstarter for a game we got to check out, Kingdoms of the Deep. It is designed by Ian Zhang, friend of the show. Check it out. It's on Kickstarter right now. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube at Board Game Gumbo, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew. But enough blather. Let's get right to our special guest. Hey, it's Jordan from the No Cube Zone. Hey, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, BJ?
Going fantastic.
Sorry, I'm hiding behind my mic here a little bit. So
yeah, I'm the same way. I kind of had that big mic right in front of me. I hide my Dukes of Dice t-shirt. I should be showing this off. And I think you got something cool, too.
Yeah, representing the Our Family Plays Games, my good friends, and your good friends as well, Mick and Starla up here in Omaha, Nebraska. So gotta represent Mick and Starla and Beth Sobel with the beautiful OFPG hoodie here.
The beautiful art of Beth Sobel, and I just love that logo. I have the old T-shirt logo. Now I need to do something to get one of these printers. I'm jealous. I think Steve's got one. A bunch of the crew has them. So
it's super comfortable as well. Like it's probably now like the most comfortable sweatshirt I own. So I have worn it a lot since I've gotten it.
Topher says, that's a fancy windscreen. I have one, Topher. Mine just covers over my mic. I used to use one of those that you have there. Hey, Jordan, it's a live show. Let's check in. Berla is down in the green room. She'll be coming back for the game later on. So the Board Game Ambassador, she's checking us out. She says, welcome to the crew. Our favorite lefty writer, Patrick Newman, checking in. Howdy, y'all. Patrick's traveling, usually traveling. All the way from Malaysia, our friend Fiona. Hey, Fiona, what's up? Love to see what she posts out there on Facebook. So, Jordan, give us the elevator pitch. Who is Jordan Hopper? Why is he on my show? And what is the No Cube Zone?
So, Jordan Hopper is a board gamer. I'm up in Omaha, Nebraska. I really have been playing board games pretty much my entire life. Started playing games as a kid, all the mass-produced games back in the 80s and 90s and all that. And then I actually met Conniff and Rippy through another podcast here in Omaha, Nebraska. That podcast is Across the Board with Dan Smith and Ryan Freshman, but they had a little convention and I got to meet Conniff and another one of their friends down in Missouri, Eric. They came up for ATBCon in 2018. Got to play games with them.
Board Con.
Yes, Across the Board Con. That's what it was. Really just kind of hit it off with them. Been really good friends with them on like Slack and now Discord that we have for our podcast. Pretty much talking with those guys every day virtually. Just become really good friends. And then in 2020, we decided to start a podcast. We had the foresight of planning to do it remotely because I'm in Nebraska and they're in Missouri. So it just so happened that when 2020 was what it was, we didn't have to change much about what we were doing as far as recording because we were recording remotely anyways.
Wow, you guys already had practice with it. It sounds like y'all are, the beauty of being friends with the people on your podcast, the three of you, Rippy and Conniff, and of course, Jordan here on the show, it sounds like just three people at the end of a night at a burger joint after a game night, just kind of ripping on each other. There's a lot of ripping on each other.
There's a little bit. Rippy kind of is like he's like the mediator in the middle, and then Conniff and I are the ones that will take some digs at each other every now and then. But it's all in good fun, and I think just even the story of how we all got connected with each other is the story of the podcast of we aren't chasing like the new hotness or things like that as far as like the games we talk about, but it's more about truly about the experiences and the people around the tables and like those experiences. And that's what we all love about board games is, anyone can sit down and play a game, and just so many neat people that we've all met and become friends with from all over the world because of board games. And that's what we love about it.
Yep, meeting with people, talking with people, just the chat. I mean, this whole podcast started in a similar way. I was at Dice Tower Con, and after we played at games all day, there was 3 or 4 of us just sitting around chatting for what started for a little 20-minute chat, and it lasted 2 or 3 hours as I'm watching my son play a game. And I was like, this should be a podcast. Just people talking as if it's the end of the night of a game night,
right,
or the end of a convention. And that's sort of what Gumbo Live became,
Yeah. And I do love that about Gumbo Live is I get that same vibe of it's just people. Board games may bring the people together, but
we love pushing cardboard, Jordan. You know that. We love pushing cardboard.
I do. I love it too. And I was gonna say I do have a reputation of being kind of like the staunchy Euro player of the No Cube Zone, but I am firmly Team Gladiator in an arena.
Oh, you were a big supporter the whole time I was getting ready for the tourney. I apologize that I flamed out in the first round.
That's okay. But hey, the right side ended up victorious, so that's all that matters.
So Jordan, I'm in the Twitch chat and also on the Discord watching the end of the tournament. And when it ended up with 2 gladiators at the same time, I was like, oh, I can just relax and just enjoy this. And we got a couple of other people checking in. Nick Hayes says, I need one of those OFPG shirts. Hey, you can get them, Nick. You can find them out there. I actually don't remember how I got it. It's is it Teespring or what? I forget who.
They've did Teespring and they've done Bonfire. I don't remember which one is more their active one at the moment, but
Topher, that's not even a question. Jordan, are they dice or are they gladiators?
They're gladiators.
Of course, they're
obvious. They're gladiators.
Patrick, it is on schedule, and so this is hypothetically speaking, not anything official, but like most of the conventions that some people are getting upset about them making announcements about conventions, lawyers in the biz know that you sort of have to make those announcements, because if you don't, you're canceling the con, which means you don't get your money back. Mm-hmm. We need the force majeure parts of the contract to play out, i.e. the county shuts down or something else, and then you can get your money back. So, Patrick, I'm going to tell you, Sobo is on schedule. University of Louisiana told us it's on schedule. Do I think it's going to happen? I have no idea. We're going to play it by ear. But, I mean, based on what we're seeing right now, Jordan, I don't know what it's like up in Nebraska, but not much is happening down here in Louisiana. So
No.
No, let me not say it. Things are happening. It's just not. It's not a lot of physical interaction. So
yes,
it's different. So she says, Verla says, Teespring is the active site. So check that out. You guys can find that out if you want. Hey, speaking of Sobo, I just saw Marshall checking in. Marshall, I'm hoping someday we get the convention going. Marshall runs the Sinlaw group. That's Central Louisiana. And they bring a big contingent to Sobo every year. And they run a lot of our games and our demo areas. So I'd love to hang out with Marshall. One of the first people I met in Louisiana conventions was nice. Marshall. So that is fun. All right. So Jordan, what are some of your favorite games? You talked about being kind of the Euro player. You're the one that pushes back on the No Cube Zone the most.
I do. Yeah.
Mr. Conniff is very opinionated, but you push back on that. And you bring in
I do.
What are your favorite games?
So I've actually got some. I brought my favorite game upstairs from the game library.
Oh, Steve, look at this.
This is my number 1 game right here, Concordia.
I'm gonna have to bring Steve in because he's gonna want to be in the same room as Concordia. Did I lose Steve?
I'll hold it up. So there he is.
Hey, Steve, what's up?
On cue. Hey, Jordan. I heartily approve.
Wait, this says Steve's only $15, so let me take that down. He is worth much more than $15. So yeah,
it's a flash sale.
What makes Concordia your favorite game, Jordan?
I think Concordia is just the peak of none of the actions are inherently hard. Like it's simple simple actions, but such complex choices. There's just such, like, you can just overanalyze, and I just love that simple actions, but like meaty choices to it. I think Concordia just does it the best.
I know this is gonna be a weird analogy, but I think of it like an accordion. Sometimes you look at Concordia and you go, "Oh wow, all I have to do is play one card, and then I'm gonna do all this cool stuff, and I'm gonna score 20 points." And other times you go, "Wow, I can really be greedy. I can play this card to play this card to play this card to play this card, and I'm gonna score 20 points." And Steve scored 20 points on 2 moves instead of 4. So you're doing the big chank instead of little tiny moves and making some beautiful sounds. And it drives me crazy because the first time you play Concordia, to me, you're kind of overwhelmed by, what is this scoring? I just put houses all over the place, right? And you win. And then you learn, Steve, that it's all about an interplay between the houses and the cards, getting both of those to synergize together, and knowing what the right balance is between. So how many times Steve beat me where I thought, I'm just going to make a run on cards, but I don't have any houses to back it up, Jordan?
Yeah, and I love that too, of just like the balance of, it always seems like Concordian. I like that. The balance of, well, I want to do these actions, so I want to buy more cards to do these actions, but I also want to get these other cards for their point scoring ability at the end of the game. And how am I going to balance that? I love that. Like, I love that, just that brain puzzle that it is every time.
Steve, what happens if you go for all 5 or 6 different cards? If you just spread out too thin?
You'll do a little bit of everything and lose the game nicely.
Yeah. You'll come out a nice third or second, right?
You'll be solid, middle of the road, honest C grade.
But you can't just go all Jupiter either.
Well, you can if the rest of the world allows you to. That's the thing. There's so much in that really does depend on what other people are doing too. There's some times where you're going to want to be zigging when other people are zagging, because otherwise you're fighting over the same Saturn or Jupiter cards. And then there's an opening in Minerva, or there's an opening to go colonists, like you like some of the time.
Jordan, do you read strategy guides for board games that or do you kind of just do it by feel?
I just kind of go by feeling.
Steve?
And usually that leads me to not do very well as far as winning and losing, but yeah, but I still love Concordia, even if I'm getting my tushy handed to me in a game. It's still such a good time.
For me, dating back to old magazines where you could get strategy guides inside the magazines, I always look at strategy guides for board games. So number one, I'm terrible, so I need that. But with Concordia, I'll never forget. I read a good strategy guide that kind of talked about the first couple of moves and what you should do, things to think about. And then after that, it basically said what Steve said. It said, there is no strategy after that. You have to play the board and the other players. Yes. Concordia is the Euro. People say it's the driest trading in the Mediterranean. But if you like any kind of game that involves second guessing or trying to guess what your opponent is doing and watching the board state, I think Concordia, that's where Concordia really shines. You have to keep an eye on, Steve, when you and I are playing these little 5-person games, I'm always keeping an eye on what other people have done that last week.
Absolutely.
What their points are,
Yes. How did they get those points?
How did they get those points? Does Jordan have 5 Jupiters? Holy cow. I better start blocking out some of the non-brick cities, so.
And thinking about too, you can have an overarching strategy, but also being tactical with your individual choices that you make.
Agreed.
So Jordan, why did you switch from playing games? Because you obviously like playing games. What made you desire to actually create the content? Because that's fulfilling, a lot of work, but it's also the other side of the coin. And I think you know what I mean by that. Right?
Yeah. So I when I really got into like hobby board games, I kind of dove in, head first, and went into consuming all sorts of board game media, YouTube, podcasts. Like I couldn't get enough. And I could see all of the work and things that people put into their content creating, and all the value that has been added to my life because of them doing that. And just, again, it kind of comes back to, there's just so many amazing people in the board game community. I felt like I wanted to give back and put something else out there, and maybe be that podcast for someone, or that show for someone that there's like, that's, they find their niche there, or if we're not necessarily their niche, maybe we can help you, like, get you connected, plugged in with someone who is more your niche. And I don't know, I felt like I wanted to give more back to this amazing community, and I also wanted to use it to lift up other people and give other people a voice as well. Like, right around when all the stuff this summer happened with all the George Floyd things, like, we got together and we were just like, we have to pull an audible, and that was the week that we actually had Mick and Starla on for the first time on our show, and just kind of with the thought of 3 white guys aren't going to have the best thing to say, so like, let's reach out and give someone
a platform.
Give someone a platform and let them talk. And just kind of like, our position was just, we're going to pass the microphone, like, and like, that was our position on that. And I think that, I don't know, I want to be that and have more opportunities to do that if there are other situations like that arise, not necessarily always with with like the Black community, but like anyone in the LGBTQ community, like anyone. Like, I want the No Cube Zone to be a place where everyone feels welcome, because at the end of the day, again, like I said, I love playing games, and I love playing games with people, and like, that other stuff, I don't like. I like race, gender, sexuality, like, that doesn't matter when you're playing a game. Like, that, I don't know, like, I just, more diversity in the hobby, in my opinion, just means more people to play games with.
Steve, you and I have been following podcasts, and we've been following YouTube, and we've been following board game content for years, and there is definitely a difference today. I think especially over the last year or two, where it might have been like Jordan said, everywhere you went on YouTube or on podcast, it was the same 3 or 4 older white dudes, right? But now it seems like if you want to listen to somebody that doesn't look like you, you can find it now, which to me means that more people that look like them are going to find people that they match up with, Now, the funny thing is, the cross-pollination also works. There's a lot of white dudes, white ladies that listen to, Our Family Plays Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of normalizes that, that we're all board gamers. Isn't that the beautiful thing?
Mm-hmm. And like, I so often think about the first time I met Mick and Starla. We got together with them at a board game cafe here in Omaha. And one of the things that I don't think I'll ever forget is Starla was talking about how they loved the Marvel movies. And they talk about, in the Marvel movies, you see all these people from all these different backgrounds. They look differently, but they work together to achieve this common goal. And like, it's not even like a second thought that they, are from different cultures, or they look different, or things like that, but they work together to achieve a common goal. And like she said, that's what she wants to see in the world as a whole, not just in board games, but in the world as a whole. And like that, that resonates with me. And I think about that so much, of like, that is what I want, is just to see, people from different backgrounds, different, all walks of life, but we can work together to achieve a common goal.
Our family, right, Steve, of Our Family Plays Games? Yeah.
Well, and they make you family. That's
they do.
They genuinely do. I think of something like this as all of us who are gamers get very possessive of our games and our space and the things and how much they mean to us. Just because it's mine doesn't mean that it can't also be yours.
Right.
Exactly.
There just needs to be a different way of thinking about the world, and that changes when you make that we bigger.
Speaking of family, Jordan, we get a lot of people on this show that watch from the Gateway and Filler Games groups. Another way to say family gamers, right? In fact, that's how Steve and I started playing games together. Was mainly just playing family games and Gateway and Filler games. Do you have a favorite or that go-to game that you recommend, or are you into the heavier games only?
So my probably favorite Gateway Filler game I love to reach for is Camel Up.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
I love how wacky and zany it can be. With the camels getting stacked on top of each other, and it can seem like the blue camel is destined for last place, and then out of nowhere it can make a charge at the end and win the whole darn thing, and no one saw it coming. It's so many opportunities for just like the table just to erupt in laughter, and I feel like several times I brought it out with larger groups of people, and by the end of the game people are looking for places to go buy it.
Right.
And like that's when you know it was a good game, when people are like, I want to go buy this. Like I want this game.
Camel Up sells itself. I mean, you put it on the table, you teach people the first time, and I can't tell you how many copies I've sold just from playing it at conventions or playing it. In fact, I played it with Marshall. We did an 8-player game, which I don't normally get to do. 8 players on Camel Up. I think it's 8, right? Yeah, It goes up to 8.
I think,
and we did an 8-player at Sobo the very first year of Sobo 4 years ago. That was so much fun because it was one of those where, I forget which camel it was. The orange camel just came out of nowhere, just ran at the end and just messed everybody's bets. But that's what's so much fun about it. It's so chaotic and it's so light and it's easy to teach. Yet you can be playing with the young ones and the adults are still having just as much fun.
Right, exactly.
It's games that they never played when they were kids because they might not have existed.
Right.
But games that remind them what it's like to be a kid playing a game. I get that from Camel Up. I get that from Ink and Gold. I get that from those kinds of games that make you think, oh, that didn't just happen. And you're pointing and you disbelief at the other person who didn't back out at the end.
Think of the race games, Jordan, that we grew up with. Nowadays kids don't have to be subjected to like Parcheesi or Trouble or any of those games. I mean, wow, Camel Up is just so much more fun for adults. Parcheesi and Trouble are just not fun, for at least for me.
No, so there's a children's book called Chrysanthemum that has Parcheesi in it, and I was reading that book, and my daughter was like, they played Parcheesi, and she's like, oh, we have to get that game because you like board games, Daddy. I'm like, yes, I do, but I've played Parcheesi, and I know what we're getting ourselves into with that, but.
So Topher says Camel Cup is not a thing. It was a thing for many years, Topher. They took it from us. They took it from us when they changed the box art. Oh, made it official. And it was Camel Cup. It had to be. The expansion was called Cup something. I forgot what it was.
The Super Cup.
Super Cup, yeah. It wasn't called the Super Up.
Yeah, I have that one too. I have that the original version of Camel Cup or Camel Up, and I have the Super Cup expansion. And that just it gets even wackier because every camel has like a second die that can get put in the pyramid, and whoever's in last automatically gets that second die kicked in to the pyramid.
We should keep the theme of wacky games going. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guests here, Jordan Hopper from the No Cube Zone. We're talking spicy hot wacky games, and one of those wacky games that I love to play, I just haven't played in a while, is Steam Park. Jordan, and you're a fan of Steam Park.
I am a fan of Steam Park.
All right, what's the elevator pitch? What is Steam Park all about?
So Steam Park is you're building an amusement park for robots.
Yes.
It makes me, I always think of like I'm in the world of like Futurama. So I'm pretending like Bender is a patron at my
I like
at my Steam Park. So that's kind of where my mind goes with it. But yeah, there's a real-time element where you're rolling these die and placing them on your pig board, like I see in the picture there, the little pig board, but you're real-time rolling these die to select your actions. So you can pick them up and roll them again to see if you can get a different action, but there are penalties for going later on in the round. You collect dirt, as these are steam-powered robots, and they'll kind of muck up your park and
dirt. Oh, Jordan, the dirt drives me crazy.
So, and again, I think it's a lot of fun. Like the real-time element of it, like the dice rolling, that is another one of those opportunities for people just to kind of like laugh about silly things. And like Steve said earlier, like it lets you feel like a kid for just a little bit.
Yeah.
Why does the real-time rolling work? So the quick mechanic, you're going to roll your dice. You're going to take once you decide the ones that you want, you're going to lock those dice in. And then each person is going to grab a first, second, third, or fourth place token. And that's how we're going to set the turnover. Once that's done, you're stuck with whatever dice you got, right, Jordan? And the dice represent the different actions you're going to take, either collecting dirt, unfortunately, or putting meeples into your park, or building new rides, or maybe even getting some of those souvenir stands that they have that you see in that picture. The whole goal is over 4 rounds, 5 rounds, something like that.
4
rounds, trying to build the biggest amusement park, scoring the most points by getting all those meeples into the park. How is it that a real-time game, which normally I don't really care for, why does it just trigger the good part of my brain, the good dopamine in the brain, not the bad dopamine?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I typically I don't love real-time games either, but I just this one for whatever reason, like you said, BJ, like it just I don't know. I think it's just the right amount of that like little kick of adrenaline, like when you're rolling the die, like trying to get just the right symbols so I can do this right thing, or when the robots go into that drawstring bag and then you're trying to pull just the right ones out, and it's just like, oh, I didn't want to pull a bunch of blue ones.
I needed a red one. I need to match up the red one. I think, there is a requirement. We're contractually obligated to talk about theme park board games at least once on this show, Steve. You know that, or else I'll lose my sponsorship. So I'm always trying to figure out what's the game that plays my favorite computer game, probably, top 3 of all time. Have you ever played any of those build your own theme park computer games? Any of those?
The Roller Coaster Tycoon games?
Yeah, any of those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've played a bunch on the computer, and then a couple years ago, I think they came out with versions for like iOS, so you could play it on like an iPad. And then I got it again and spent many hours playing Roller Coaster Tycoon again on the iPad.
Is this roller coaster? It's been said it's pretty close to Roller Coaster Tycoon. What do you think?
It feels a little bit like it. Just the the different rides, and you're trying to attract the different patrons and the different little stands and shops. Makes me think about having to put up my little burger joints so that people weren't hungry. Right? Yeah. I'm missing the dirt is kind of like that, where you have to hire the janitors to come clean up the messes, and so I think it is a little bit like that, and maybe that's part of what it is in my brain that's like triggering that when I'm playing this game. Is like it kind of feels like Roller Coaster Tycoon, the board game.
I feel like it's people that were fans of the game, but wanted a unique game and a unique theme. The theme is nothing like Roller Coaster Tycoon from that aspect, the theme park part. I got the expansion. Unfortunately, my friend in the local game store got it in during the middle of the pandemic, so I haven't even opened it yet. I just don't have anybody really to play it with. I guess I could break it. It would be fun with 3 people. We always played it with the max count because I liked the stress of getting those 4 tokens. But I guess we could play it with 2 or 3 and see. I don't know if I've ever played it with 2.
2 is okay, but I think it definitely sings more at 4. 3 is good, but like the closer you get to the max player count, the better. It's because it opens up a little bit more of the chaos.
Steve, any interest at all?
Yeah, interested. I'm curious though. I have not played this one. If it is played with the chaos at a higher count, how interactive is it among the players? Are you really fighting over certain things, or are you kind of building your own thing in isolation from that?
Jordan, there is a lot of interaction, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there's, especially during the dice rolling, because it's kind of like if you've played Galaxy Trucker, it's kind of what I kind of equate that to, like when you're building the ship, but you're trying to pay attention to what other people are doing when they're finishing, because the later you finish rolling your die, maybe you can get the actions you want, but you're going to take more penalties as far as the dirt, and that can knock you out of the game. That can snowball on you really fast if you're not careful.
I was winning a game and then just had a terrible roll in that last round. Ended up getting a ton of dirt and it knocked me out of the game. So you got to be careful with that. The other interaction, Steve, is there are a limited number of all of the different rides, and each one of the rides attracts a certain type of a certain color of people, right?
Yeah. So like kind of like in the picture you've got there, like that. There's a red roller coaster, and only the red robots want to ride the red roller coaster.
Which
So, like,
makes sense in real life, right? The red robots want to ride a red roller coaster, right? And that
Right.
happens every day.
And so
Sure.
if you're drawing like green and yellow robots out of the bag, like they aren't going to want to ride.
They visit your
the-
park, but they leave.
Right. They'll leave. Yeah. They'll come in, they'll see there's not the
Okay.
ride that they prefer, and then they're out the door.
There's also a competition for those souvenir stands. There's only like 3 a piece or 4 a piece of the 4 types or 5 types. 5 types, I think. And so again, each one of them breaks the rules of the game. So you better get the one that is going to fit your strategy during the game. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to pull a bunch of robots. You don't care about the colors, so you want the one that lets you slide people in.
There is one that'll let you ignore that, where just any old robot will go on any old ride. I forget which one it is exactly.
Security, maybe security,
possibly.
Yeah. So each one of those does a little bit something. One of them gives you a little bit more of this. Some of them they do different things. So the interaction is there to try to make sure that they don't take the type of rides that you're getting. And it's also sort of a tile layer. Think of those rides themselves. They look like 3D rides, but they're really tiles just built up big. So you're trying to fit them correctly onto those little squares. You can expand your park a little bit, but not a lot. So it does get kind of tight there because they have all these placement rules on there. So it acts like a tile layer. It has a tiny little speed element with the rolling that only takes about a minute of pressure, and then after that it's a euro. Do I have my correct actions this round, and can I maximize those to get the benefits that I need as I'm building up my little engine by getting those sheds or souvenir stands, whatever they're called. That is Steam Park from, what is that, Yellow, I think?
Yeah,
from Yellow.
Yellow.
There's actually a couple of expansions for it. More robots, more craziness. What were you going to say?
Yellow and Horrible Guild.
Yeah, it's the Horrible Guild. They've changed their name since then, since the game came out.
They were horrible games at the time, but this is not a horrible game. It's
right.
It's a fun one, in my opinion, at least.
They're a French company. I'm not sure they quite, the joke didn't quite translate to English. So horrible games. Maybe not the best ones. Yeah, that's right. They're a Horrible Guild now, but it's a yellow game. So you can find Steam Park. I've seen it everywhere. Local game stores. You can find it all over the place. So that is Steam Park. Love that game. Glad to see that there are other fans of that. Looking at your list, you've got so many good games here, but this is one that I really want to talk about. One that I've always wanted to play. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jordan Hopper from the No Cube Zone. Steve and I are talking to him about some spicy-eyed games, and one of those, he's got the deluxe edition.
Right here.
Rococo. Okay, you got it. I've never played Rococo because it's been so hard to get for so many years, but Chris from the Secret Cabal, has this as one of his top 10 games. Jordan, tell me about Rococo.
So, again, I love the unique theme of you are making fancy dresses and suits for the king's ball, and so you are purchasing materials. You have workers, you have a master, you have journeymen, and you have apprentices. So
wait, Jordan, this is yet another making dresses for the king's ball. there's
I mean, if you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times.
Zombies,
in board game themes.
trading in the Mediterranean. High fashion,
right?
If I had a nickel.
Good on the designers for bringing in a unique theme, right, Jordan?
And again, this one I think of Concordia again. Of the actions are pretty simple. You're building kind of these hands of cards, but there are such interesting choices in when you choose to do things. So like I was kind of saying, so you have masters, journeymen, and apprentices. So the apprentice can only do certain level of like tasks for you. Like they can go and get materials for you. They can buy decorations for you, but they can't do things like hire new people to join your kind of, be hired in to kind of come work for you, or they aren't able to make the dresses. Like once you have the materials, they can't make the dresses, or you can go to get the queen's favor, which will allow you to go first. That's how you kind of change the player order there. And then kind of like you see on the board there, some of those spots, like when when a dress gets made by either a journeyman or a master, they get placed out there into these. There are 5 rooms that the people in the dresses can get placed in. Some of those have to be made by a master. That's that gold thimble. So to have someone in a dress or in a suit on one of those spots, it has to be a master.
And that's those parts at the top of the board with the little gold things on the bottom, or is it somewhere else?
Yeah, so in each of the 5 rooms, so there's the 3 rooms on the top and the 2 rooms on the bottom, with like kind of the windows, but there are those gold thimbles like yeah. So the very top of the board, that's the fireworks show. So people in the room with the king, which is the middle room on the top, if you have someone there, if you then purchase one of the decorations up on the roof, at the end of the game, some of those people are then eligible to go up onto the roof to view the fireworks show, and those are multipliers for the points.
Fireworks and dresses in the same game?
Fireworks and dresses in the same game.
I'm digging it.
Louis knows what he likes, I guess.
What do you think, Steve?
Is that the deluxe board?
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty stunning.
What's the difference between the original edition and what we're seeing now with the version you have? Do you know?
So the original, I had the original as well. I think the original art is still really good.
Okay.
But the deluxe has a expansion, like there's a jewelry expansion that was super, super hard to find. Because it was not, it didn't get a whole lot of print, and then there are some other new expansions that have been added into this deluxe version that Eagle Griffin did.
If this is Eagle Griffin, I will give it to them. When they make a big box Euro and they make those deluxe editions, like the version I have of Lisboa, they just knock it out of the park. It is big old boxes and everything fits in the right way. At least I don't know if this one had it.
It fits
game trays
perfectly. Perfectly.
Nice. This does look like the Euro game, which doesn't bother me at all. I love the Euro game. I mean, I want to play that, but I'm also getting this sense that the mechanics kind of tie into the theme a little bit.
A little bit. And again, it kind of has that aspect of, like we talked about with Concordia, like there are certain cards. So some of the apprentices and the journeymen will have better abilities in game. Like when you play them down, they'll give you better ability. Like they have like a secondary ability that are
like that.
give you more bonuses. But the masters are the ones that allow you to, like I said, build those master dresses. The masters are the kinds of cards that allow you to hire new employees. But the masters, their abilities on the cards aren't quite as good. So you kind of are balancing, do I want to go after this master to have them for their, the ability to build a dress, make a dress on one of the master spots, or to hire more people, or do I want these other employees that I can have these better abilities for?
Jordan, where do you put it on the heaviness scale? What's a game that Steve and I would be familiar with?
I mean,
Concordia weight?
It's kind of right around Concordia weight is where I would put it. Like I think a lot of what I like about Rococo is things I like about Concordia. Like nothing is inherently complex about it, but there are just those super crunchy decisions that you have throughout the game.
Okay. What about the playtime? Are we talking? That sounds like it's more than an hour. It's got that 90 to 120 minute.
Yeah, 90 to 120.
Yeah, that's a good spot for a good strong Euro. 3 or 4 players fit, especially if you know the game and everybody knows the rules. You can knock it out in 90, 95 minutes.
Yeah. If everyone knows the game, you're definitely closer to the 90-minute mark. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I may have to look for it. The one thing, Steve, if I have a bone to pick with the Euro hobby, the games that I love, they come out with expansions and they're so hard to find sometimes. Like you remember what was that, the Bears game that we like, the Barron Park. Never can find that expansion anywhere. There's so many expansions that I know you do. I think Berla ended up getting one at up in Seattle or Portland when she visited Seattle. So I've never even seen it anywhere. So that's the one thing that bugs me. I do like the fact that they'll come back and they'll bring some of these games. They'll get them produced again and get you some of those expansions. I'm thinking of what's the one from Bruges that everybody
City on the
Zwen.
City on the Zwen. If you didn't get it when it came out, that's it. You're buying it, on the secondary. Yeah, that is. She got it from Mox over in Portland.
The sound that the internet just heard was Verla losing her mind looking at this Rococo deluxe set.
Yeah. We know what to get her for her birthday, I think. Huh? Hey, so Topher, you're throwing Tricarion. I'm not getting the Tricarion vibe because Jordan did not completely melt my brain with 7 different mechanics all flowing. I love Tricarion. But oh man, I have to be in tip-top brain. I'm going to be eating my brain food, like some good fish, maybe, all the different oils. I'm going to be building up for that. I'm not getting that from Rococo. It doesn't sound as heavy as any of those Minecraft games.
No, I wouldn't put it up there with that.
All right, so Rococo, you give a big thumbs up?
Big thumbs up for Rococo.
All right, everybody check that out. That is Rococo from Eagle Griffin Games. Should be able to still find it out there somewhere.
Yeah, because
Verla may find a link and put it in the chat.
What's that?
Verla might find a link and put it in the chat.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, she's gonna do that. BJ Board Game Gumbo, got my guest here, Jordan Hopper. Jordan, have you played Shores of Tripoli yet? The Shores of Tripoli?
I've not.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it.
Fort Circle Games. That's Kevin Bertram. He decided to start a game company, and what he's focusing on is these little 1, 2, maybe multiplayer, but introductory. When I say introductory, I mean user-friendly 1-on-1, 2-on-2 type of war games. All of them from a historical standpoint. So he sent me a review copy of the Shores of Tripoli, and I'll tell you, if you like Twilight Struggle or any of those kind of card-playing games, you owe it to check out Shores of Tripoli. My one caveat on it is I'm not sure about the replayability, but maybe that's not something that's that big of a deal to every single gamer. You're going to get a bunch of games out. It's not going to have the replayability of a Twilight Imperium or something like that, where there's going to be constant factions. The Shores of Tripoli is about 2 factions, right? Mm-hmm. It's the Barbary Pirates, the Coast versus Thomas Jefferson's early America, the early 1800s. And what I like about it is both sides have unique win conditions. Oh, it also comes with a beautiful historical book. Both sides have unique win conditions. The Barbary Pirates on the one hand, Tripolitania, versus Jefferson's fleet that he sends out there because they were attacking the merchant ships. Mm-hmm. And each one has a completely unique win condition played by the cards. One of them, the Barbary Pirates, are basically trying to survive long enough and steal all the gold from the merchants. If they can steal the gold or capture enough of the frigates, then the Americans are going to get bored and say, okay, we're just not as much of a naval power as we think. We'll have to wait till World War I to really become a naval power. Or you could play as Jefferson. And if you're playing the American side, your goal is to either win by forcing the leader of Tripolitania. So is it the Shaw? I can't remember now. But you got the Bashaw. You got to force the Bashaw into a treaty at terms favorable to you, or storm into Tripoli and take it over. The land route coming over and winning the big battle. Mm-hmm. Some of these things come from the card play. And what is really cool about this really nice board, let's see if I can find the board. Yeah, it's this long board that represents the coastline up there. And when you're playing the cards, each deck is small. Think small like Watergate, Steve. So It doesn't play like Watergate. Watergate is that, what do you call it? Tug of war, where you're constantly watching where's the tug of war going to land. That's not what this is. This is more like Twilight Struggle's card-driven play, or 1960s card-driven play, where the actions you take off the cards are going to do certain things. The first time you play it, it's like the age of discovery, Jordan. Both sides are learning their cards and going, oh man, I wish I'd gotten this card next year or played this card later. It's when you play the game the second time and both people know the very small decks. There's only 20-something cards in each deck.
Right.
That's where this game shines. So I have played this game a bunch. I have a copy here. There's also a copy online. I try not to broadcast type stuff about the games online, but it is available. If you have a copy, you can play it online. And I've taught it to a bunch of people. So far, it's been a big hit. Is this the kind of game that either one of you are interested in? A little 2-player card-driven game?
It sounds super interesting to me. Like I pretty much every time I watch your show, BJ, I end up adding something to my wish list, and this is the one now. This is the one.
Yeah. The only problem is going to be when you have a small deck of cards and only 2 factions, even though there's multiple win conditions. I could see somebody saying, well, I'm not going to get 20 games out of this. Okay. Well, if that's what you're looking for, maybe that's not the game. I think you are going to get 20 games out of it because unless you're playing with the same person all the time, if you bring it to convention or a game night, you're always going to find somebody. The game only takes about 40 minutes. You teach it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You play it in 40. So great thing at the start of the night when we start having game nights again, Really, thanks a lot, Evan. That's why I never want to show. Just bring your checkbook, Evan. Just bring your checkbook. We're going to make it happen here.
We're all taking turns making other people buy other things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've backed a lot of games or bought a lot of games from my own show because the guest talks about. Look,
That's
Steve,
right.
I'm already salivating about Rococo now. I want a game.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, you're right here. So that's Steve. What do you think? What are Jordan's thoughts?
This kind of a highly tactical 2-player war game kind of thing here. Okay, I'm getting a bit of a Few Acres of Snow vibe off of this.
Yes.
With the exception of the fact that maybe you don't have to build your deck. Your deck comes to you in a complete form rather than you having to cycle or cull or what have you.
No, you're not culling, you're not buying cards, you're not adding to it, but you are fishing through your deck. So if you have, there's 1 or 2 times you can play a card where you're going to try to grab some more cards. You definitely want to do that. And it's also situational. For instance, the Swiss are there to help the Americans early on, but historically they left. So Kevin has added that into the game. You better start getting that win condition before the Swiss leave, because after that, it makes it a lot tougher.
And you say that it's organized by years in that way, so that there's kind of like ages that you're going through in the rounds of the game. It's kind of tied to historical what's happening at that first year through the 5th year.
Absolutely. It's not completely historically accurate, but I'm telling you, after reading the historical guidelines and then reading Wikipedia, I'm impressed that Kevin was able to get the sense of how everything developed. And he's got the players. Some of the cards are actually the captains or the commanders that were involved in it. And it's just fun to do that and to see this. Look, I'm an early Americana guy. I love Revolutionary War and early American history. So this is just right up my alley. I'm so glad Kevin sent us a copy. So, Steve?
I'd like to play this one. This would be one that I would probably play with Luke or Adam, who are history teachers themselves. They would probably just eat this alive.
Yeah, remind me after the show. I'll send this up to your way, because I think I've got enough plays, and I want to see what you and Kevin and Luke and them say about it.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, so that is Shores of Tripoli from Fort Circle Games. They've got a whole lineup of these quick playing historical games coming out. That's up my alley. I just don't want to play a 6-hour historical game. I've got a friend, by the way, a fellow attorney. This is what he does on Wednesday nights. They play these long month, 2, 3, 5-month campaign games where they take all Wednesday night and they each make one move.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're pushing so many tanks and stuff around. And, he's got, over the years, probably about 20 or 30 years, he's been doing this. And they've played, 40 or 50 of these games, but each one takes months for them to finish.
I appreciate wanting to represent the war correctly, but it doesn't have to actually last the same amount.
It doesn't, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's just not my kind of game. Memoir 44 was about as deep into a war type of game, but this is even better. I really like it.
You've got my interest peaked, BJ.
Check that out. That is the Shores of Tripoli from Fort Circle Games. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jordan Hopper, checking out some of the games he's got. And here's one that I really want to talk about because I've gotten a chance to play it. And that's Barrage. So we're talking Euro games here, Steve. But Barrage was different, Jordan. And I want to see if you had the same experience.
Yeah, I liked Barrage. It reminded me some of Russian Railroads a little bit with the worker placement. And yeah, just the player interaction aspect of it, I think is super fun because it has the the tendency to be a little mean, because you can totally mess up someone's entire plan
Give
with how
Steve the
you're.
elevator pitch. What's that high level?
Yeah.
What's Barrage all
Yeah,
about?
so Barrage, you're setting up hydroelectric dams along some
Another one.
waterways.
Super
Yeah.
common theme. A million
Yeah,
of those games out there.
All the time you see these hydroelectric themed. So yeah, so you've got these 4 rivers, and I just got the 5th player expansion, so in that one I think there's 5 rivers. But anyways, so the water's going to run down these different pathways, and depending on where you have your hydroelectric dam set up, the water's going to get stopped, and then you have to have turbines built that will generate electricity, and the more electricity you generate, the more points you're going to get. And then there are different, like all these different tubes and pipes and things. If you send your water through this particular dam, it's going to send water in. It might send something into a different river, so it'll take water away from whoever might have a dam further down that particular river, and you can set it up and kind of combo yourself into having, oh, I've got a dam here, and now this will feed into my other dam, and I can just, rack up some more hydroelectric energy. But then someone could maybe build up further upriver and say, actually, I'm going to stop your whole gravy train, and I'm going to set up my own thing.
And that's a great feeling when people do that, Steve. It's a terrible, terrible. Hey, Nick,
drink your milkshake.
Yeah, here's your milkshake. Nick's checking in. You want to play it? By the way, Nick, Adam has it. So next time we get together at BGG Con, this is Adam's version, and Adam goes to BGG Con every year. They have it. So that you hit the nail on the head, Jordan. You saw how he described. He didn't describe mechanics of the little wheel or the delays whenever you put your workers in and you have to wait for them to come out. He focused on the fact that it really feels like building dams. That's what really hit me with this game, Steve. Barrage is somebody said, who was it? Evan said this is another Power Grid. Okay, Power Grid is Math Puzzle, the math game, which I like, by the way. It's fine. I actually like Power Grid, but it's Math Puzzle, the math game. Barrage has all that, absolutely. But it tricks you into thinking you are this hydroelectric baron. And the water droplets are actually coming down. And all of a sudden, by the end of the game, Jordan, you actually see the water coming down. Like I can visualize how the power plant and the water and how is it stopping up. And oh no, Jordan's going to put that down. I'm telling you, when Adam messed me up in the last round, I could see it coming. It's a terrible feeling, terrible feeling.
And it's like one of those things, like there's nothing you can do about it. Like there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Right. Water and other things flow downhill.
It's true.
You could play better. You could play better is what Adam would tell me. But that's what I was so impressed that I don't know how they did it, but all of the actions really feel thematic. So it goes back to what Jason Dinger says. Jason says, hey, what do I want to accomplish in the game? I want to do fishing. Okay, what mechanic supports that? Rather than somebody saying, oh, here's this cool little mechanic. Let me put on top of it farming and sheep and something else.
Right.
Right. Barrage doesn't. Barrage feels like
the theme happen. No, let the theme happen.
Exactly. Barrage feels like someone who said, I wonder what it would be like if we could, stop water and see what happened with that. And then started building out from there. I might be totally wrong. They may have just come up with mechanics and then pasted it on, but it didn't feel like that. Like, how would you get zombies out of the Barrage mechanics? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't. But I even like kind of like what you said too. Like it seems thematic. Like when you have the mixers and the machines that you're using to build things, like those. When you use those, they're not like a resource that you're spending. They're allocated to do a job, and it takes them a certain amount of time to do the job, and then you get them back once you're done.
It's a cool, but it's a very frustrating mechanic. Cool down is fun when you're playing, Funkiverse. It's really bad whenever you really just need one more mixer and it's 4 turns away.
Right.
Oh, that's really frustrating. So I got to ask you about something though. The copy that you see on the screen right now is Adam's version, and he and I were a little disappointed. The water droplets were beautiful to look at, impossible to play with. They got stuck everywhere. Yeah. So really? I've heard that the designer and also the boards didn't quite fit. So it was kind of disjointed a little bit. It almost feels like, I forget who the publisher is, that they almost
Cranio.
Oh, this is a Cranio game? Okay. Well, they know what they're doing. I think they just bit off a little bit more than they could chew on this game.
Yeah.
Have you fixed it or have they fixed it? I heard some rumors that they were going to try to rectify that.
Yeah, and I'm digging through my box now.
Oh, look, while he's doing that, Steve, there's that mechanic. Let me solo in.
Pull that up.
Yeah, so those are the little dump trucks and the little mixers and all the cranes. They go into that wheel, and then each time you do something, you get to turn the wheel, but you don't get back the resource. It's like the resources. You're spinning your resources, and you don't get them back for a certain number of turns, depending on how powerful your action is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's neat, but it's very
that
frustrating.
Actually seems to capture the idea of a turbine.
Mm-hmm.
When hearing you talk about this and seeing it on the screen, problems included, makes me wonder what some folks like Thinker and Themer would say about this, because it seems like it is a massively heavy mechanical game that is really representing a theme very well. It could be immersive.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Mick? Hey, Mick, Jordan's
Hey, Mick.
here, your fellow Omahan. The city's so clean you could eat off the streets, and I've actually done that. And Jordan's representing the fan, Mick.
Yeah, show Jordan. There it is.
He's got his OFPG there on. Yeah, so Jordan, you were going to tell us.
So yeah, I think the version that you are showing there, that is the Kickstarter, the
Correct.
deluxe.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And they have, I think that one was even the one they had like a three-dimensional board, like the higher up you go on the river, like the board is physically raised. Like that's really cool, but those water droplets are the absolute worst.
Yeah,
But
Steve, do you see the little gaps between the boards?
Yeah.
The version I have, these are more the water droplets but they're not those. They're more just like your traditional like wooden bit water droplet.
Steve, imagine those little things that my little grandbabies, they're like little bedazzled things.
Yeah.
That's what the water droplets were. Little bedazzled jewels.
Completely flat on one side and then like raised, but like smooth enough that you can't really get a grip on them.
And pointed in the corner, so anytime it got stuck in a river or I guess a lake more, it would get stuck in the cardboard. Oh, so frustrating.
That's a shame.
Did it mar my experience? Absolutely not. That's just little ticky-tacky things. Barrage blew my brain the first 2 rounds. I had no idea what I was doing. And in the last 2 rounds, I'm going, oh my God, it's one of the most thematic Euros I've ever played. It was very impressive, but not an entry-level game to me, Jordan. It's a lot heavier than Concordia.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of the heavier games in my collection. It's definitely one of those ones, like you said, like I need to have had 2 or 3 cups of coffee, a full breakfast. Like I need to be primed and ready for this one.
This reminds me, I have an idea for a game that we're going to have to try, Steve. I wanted to talk to you about it today. So the game would be the board game, and it's perfect for games like Barrage. The chat crew would throw out a game, and then me, you, and Jordan would have to blindly come up with a game that's a little higher on the complexity, according to BGG. But we could never go backwards. And the first round, we're just trying to each get 1 game. And then the second round, we're trying to get 2 games. And then
you'd have to make it like the mind. You'd have to assign each of us games and make us wait for the others.
You could, but coming off of the brain, and so Steve, you would have to do 2, I'd have to do 2, and Jordan would have to do 2. But the chat crew would throw out the game, and after that, I'm going,
let's talk about this. This could work. This could definitely work.
How heavy is Steve going to go? Because is my next game going to be lighter? And you're trying to think of games on the fly, and I was like, okay, this might be a little too crunchy to play tonight because But I was like, I was kind of getting excited. I was like,
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. But what do you think of it, Jordan? Could that work on this show?
I like it. I think that'd be fun.
Do you want to just test it out?
Sure.
Just 1 round. All right, chat crew, throw out any game, and then we're just going to play the first round. Okay. Throw out. Steve, you want to call up BGG? Just
yeah. Give me a second here.
All right, chat crew, throw out a game. Go low, please. Something low, so we don't kill ourselves. Let's see what we got here. Is that Johnny Pack checking in?
Johnny Pack's in.
What's up, Johnny Pack? I haven't talked to Johnny in a while. By the way, Johnny is killing it with the development of some of these games. Oh, Johnny, I want to tell you, I played Endless Winter. Finally got to play it. It is every bit as good as he said. It's the third in the trilogy between Dune and Lost Ruins of Arnak and Endless Winter. The ability to combine deck building and worker placement might be the best out of the three. We'll see. I don't want to say that yet. Okay, so do we have a quick?
Seems to have thrown out Draftosaurus.
Oh no, that's a good one. So Draftosaurus. All right, so Steve, Jordan,
what do you have here? We have to think of a game, and that would be
for the first round
close to that.
Yeah, the three of us each have to name one game, and we have to go when we're ready. It's got to be higher than quick.
I haven't played Draftosaurus. Do we need to know the starting value for Draftosaurus?
No, the only way we're going to find out is if we mess this up. So,
oh jeez, I haven't played it.
You have something? If you go too high, we're going to struggle here. Anybody else? We come after Draftosaurus.
I haven't played it, so I have no sense of where to go with this.
I'll go with let's see, Draftosaurus. I'm going to go with Dominion.
Okay, that helps me.
All right.
Okay. See what Dominion.
Next level from Dominion, and Jordan and I have to think about who's going to
fall
first. Next level from Dominion.
We all have to say something.
I would. Okay, then I would say Concordia after this, and then all Jordan would have to do is go heavy and high.
While he's doing that, you start.
City of the Big Shoulders.
Okay.
I think you got it there. Yeah.
All right. So Draftosaurus.
Oh, Johnny Pack had a good one there. Rococo would have been heavier than Concordia too. That would have been a good one.
Okay.
Draftosaurus
is a 1.22. What did you say next, BJ?
Dominion.
Which I think is a 1.8 or 2.0, something like that.
Dominion. I was thinking Dominion was around a 2.
We got on
Dominion is a 2.36.
Oh.
Ooh, okay, let's see here. Concordia is going to be
tough. Concordia is going to be tough. Oh, that's right, Evan. You and I played it together.
Concordia is a 3.03.
Yep, and so City of the Big Shoulders is a 7.
Got to be a 4.2 or something.
City of the Big Shoulders is huge.
I think it's a 4.2 because I remember Philip talking about it.
Yep.
What is it?
Where is it?
4.04.
All right, so we did it for one.
All right, so
that's interesting. That could work. We'll play with that one. I think that one's got some potential.
I was just brainstorming. I wanted to test it out, and we'll see if we can figure this out.
We'll iterate on that.
We'll iterate on it. All right, so this is a board game show, so we might as well play a real board game.
Let's do it.
Tried and true.
Let me throw down this Barrage there, and I'm going to bring up the board game ambassador who's getting ready. Yes, she is ready. All right, Chat Krewe, we're here to play a game, and Steve's going to take it away.
All right, so we're the Envie Game. Hello, Verla. How you doing?
Hi, Verla.
Good. Nice to see y'all.
Are you plotting your way to get to Omaha to smuggle out a copy of Rococo?
Heck yes.
Yeah, there you go. Don't go.
Lock your doors, Jordan.
Don't go sleeping. For the Envie Game, we got Jordan here to play. You have a game in mind? Yes,
I do.
Right.
It's sitting right here, just off screen.
Perfect. You have a game that we're going to have to try and guess along with the chat crew. We're going to try to ask you some questions back and forth, hopefully yes or no or some ballpark kinds of things. You might not need to necessarily look it up. Maybe you have the BGG screen for the game open too, just in case you need to look up years or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try and play basically 20 questions. It's a race between the chat crew and me, Verla, and BJ, and essentially you trying to, play four corners and run out the clock on us.
Okay.
Right. Good to go?
Good to go.
Is he using Princeton? Is he using the Princeton four corners offense?
Four corners, yeah, exactly. The Ivies.
Yeah. All right.
Want to kick it off, BJ?
I will. Yes. So you got the rules of the game. You understand it?
Yes.
All right. So Jordan, here we go. I'm going to start out with the question that I always ask. Is it competitive or cooperative? And I'm going to guess because I feel like we've connected this episode. It's competitive. It's got to be competitive.
It's competitive.
Hey, I listened to the show, Steve, so I knew that was going to be a competitive.
All right. Verla? Simon, could you get Tobin?
Does
Evan
it
says
play?
it's Dominion.
More than 4 players.
Ooh.
It can play more than 4.
Okay.
Okay.
So we know it's a Euro game and it plays more than 4 players.
Which could just mean that it has the possibility of going 5.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And many Euros do. Published in the last 5 years?
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a yes.
Okay.
I would have thought it was older. Evan wants to know if it's Dominion. That would not be right. Not in the last 5 years. And Dominion is limited to 4, right? Evan wants to know if this game was scratch and sniff. Would it smell? What would it smell like? Well, that might give it away a lot. He's channeling Beth Sobel there. Or Seth Bobel.
Seth Bobel, exactly.
Seth Bobel.
Seth Bobel.
I don't know. That's an interesting. I don't know if I could necessarily nail down one particular smell for this.
Can't go wrong with cinnamon or mint.
Like it? No smell at all. Come on, Jordan. You got something, right? No smell. I would have said cardboard, but that's just me.
Yeah, cardboard. It does have a pretty strong cardboard smell to it.
Evan, there's your answer. It's got a pretty strong cardboard. He could have said plastic though.
Yeah.
Or wood.
Or wood. He could have said that.
It's a paper, so we're thinking more board than card, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a good question, Jordan. Is it more board based or is it more card based? If it smelled like kelp, we would know what it would be. Kelp and a little steel plast. It would smell like steel plast.
I mean, there's definitely a board to it, but there are a lot of cards as well. So there's a good mixture of both, I would say.
Okay.
Is it an award-winning game?
Good question.
Define award-winning.
If we pull up the game on BGG, Steve, right? Is that how you do it?
So along those lines, an award that people might recognize rather than just Hunterdon County's best game of 2016.
But it was No Cube Zone's game of the year in 2017.
Yeah, there are awards that people would recognize that it has been awarded.
Mick said this is a new beard. Is that right, Jordan?
Yeah, I've going with the beard look for 2021. We'll see how long it lasts.
Patrick wants to know, are there any dice in the game?
Good question.
Good question. That's what I was going to ask next.
No.
He hesitated.
I can't believe we haven't asked this yet. Are there cubes?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Great question.
Cubes.
All right, Checker, let's recap. It's a game in the last 5 years. It has won some awards, we think, right? It's competitive.
It has won some awards that people would recognize.
It's got cubes in it. Does not have dice. Is that right? No dice?
Correct. It has the soulless variant of cubes, which are not dice.
That's right.
On the show, we do say that dice are cubes with souls.
They're right. They are cubes with souls.
Gladiators with souls.
Gladiators. Steve, you got a question?
No, just recapping again, it can go higher than 4.
Correct.
We haven't gotten anything about theme. For people who are in the hobby, is it designed by someone whose name we'd recognize?
Yes.
Is it a European designer?
Yes.
Okay. Marshall wants to know if it's a sci-fi theme.
Yes, it is a sci-fi theme.
Oh, interesting. In the last 5 years.
Was it on Kickstarter?
No.
Was Gaia Project in the last 5 years? Gaia Project was. What's Gaia Project?
Is it Gaia Project?
It's not Gaia Project.
No. Does it involve a planet?
Yes.
Is it Terraforming Mars?
It is Terraforming Mars.
All right, BJ.
Terraforming Mars. Oh, I love that game. And I love the fact that they used to let me play it on Mac, but now they don't. Crazy. So they issued a it's got a fantastic Steam app if you haven't seen it. absolutely fantastic Steam app, and they have this beta version on the Mac, but it just doesn't work half the time. So I've given up on it. But when I've been able to play it, oh man, I love playing Terraforming Mars. So what do you like about playing Terraforming Mars? I'm curious, Jordan.
I just think it's so. I think the theme is so cool, and just how every game plays out differently as far as how you are actually terraforming the planet. I like that there was this. The game's been talked about. I've seen like articles of people talking about like how some of the things that they do in the game would actually be how they would actually terraform the planet.
So you like the science aspect of
I
it.
do like the science aspect of it. I think that's really cool. I just think that the theme is really cool. I enjoy kind of that everyone's trying to do the same goals like overall, but we're still competing to do them. And I like kind of that, a little bit of that player interaction as far as like the awards of trying to make someone think that they can get one, and then all of a sudden, like at the end of the game, like if someone's like, oh, the banker award, like whoever has the most money or the most money production, and then I've got these cards in my hand, so then they fund that award, and then I just flood it with all these money production things, and then I can swoop that out from under them. So a little bit of that player interaction aspect of it.
You're getting John a little bit here in the chat crew with kind of under the radar game. But I'm curious, for people in the chat crew, let us know why you like Terraforming Mars. That Jordan said it's the science part. Verl or Steve, have you played Terraforming Mars?
I have not played Terraforming Mars at all.
I've played it once. It's been at least a year and a half, and I need another play of it to really get a better feel for it.
There are no craft services in the chat, Jeremy. Sorry, we ran out of our budget. You are going to have to get your own food down the street. Remember, takeout only, and you must wear a mask in line. So.
That's right. Jordan, I got to tell you, it's good that you're wearing the OFPG swag, because that's the only thing that's keeping you in Starla's good graces right now.
Right now. You did not pick the right game with Starla, that's for sure. So, I don't play it for the science. To be honest, I love tableau building games, and I love engine building games. And it's got both of those on there. I do like the fact that every time I play the game, it feels like the strategies are different depending on what comes out, what the combination of cards you get at the start of the game, the combinations, the way they flow through. But the fight over those goals, I mean, it can really just get so much tension when you're trying to do that.
Yeah,
Jeremy did not like it. That's because, Jeremy, you've never played it with us. If you played it with us, you probably love it, Jeremy.
And
it's the food.
I know some people, there are a decent number of people here in Omaha who aren't huge Terraforming Mars fans, and I understand that it's not necessarily for everyone, but again, it trips a lot of the triggers of things that I like in a game. Like I do, like the science that's really what like keeps me coming back. But I do like what you said too, BJ, like the engine building and the tableau building, and it plays out differently every time. Like a strategy that might have worked in the last game, like that card could be buried at the bottom of the deck, and you won't even see it till like the last hand, and you'll have to come up with something else. A totally different strategy, and a little bit of that tactical, like dealing with how other people are doing things. And do you do the draft when you play?
Yeah, we only play with the draft. I think that's the way to play. And lately we've only played with Prelude because I like that jump start. One of the downsides of Terraforming Mars is maybe the first couple of rounds without Prelude. I'm not necessarily a fan of the colonies one. It was fun, but I don't need to play with that Prelude. But I'm seeing some, if you're reading the chat, you're seeing people kind of throw out that comparison that we see a lot, and that's to Underwater Cities, a Vladimir Suchy game that is on the surface doesn't look like Terraforming Mars because you're not really building a tableau like you do in Terraforming Mars. I'm always curious why people compare it to that, and I'll be honest, between the two games, I'm with the chat crew. I think I like Underwater Cities better.
Okay.
They're also comparing it a little bit because it came out at the same time as Great Western Trail. So you have that Sagrada Azul, Dune, Lost Ruins of Arnak, and then back then, Great Western Trail and Terraforming Mars came out at the exact same time by the same publisher.
See, I always felt like
got an opinion on that one.
Oh yeah, it's my number 2 game of all time, and like Topher said, I would play it over Terraforming Mars every time.
Yeah.
In my mind, the Ying to Terraforming Mars' Yang was always Scythe, because it also came out in 2016, and a lot of people compared the two. Like, I think Scythe won a lot of the bigger awards. So I think Terraforming Mars won Golden Geek, a few of the Golden Geek things, but it was up against Scythe, and a lot of people said that Scythe won out because of the production of Scythe as opposed to the lack thereof, some with Terraforming Mars. With like the, Scythe having that was one of the first games that I remember like people really falling in love with, like the dual layer player boards, and Terraforming Mars was essentially just a very thin piece of cardboard that things sat on. If you bump the table, it kind of got, things got messed up. So
it's true. Although to be fair, okay, Bonacore takes a lot of heat about Terraforming Mars. There's a lot of games like that. One of them is the one Johnny Pack and I are talking about. Underwater Cities has terrible player boards, terrible little chinchy sheets. And there's so many games that do that. I don't know why everybody got on the Terraforming Mars bandwagon about how bad the production was, and it just became like a meme.
And I don't know. I don't necessarily think that it was like that bad as a lot of people made it out to be. Like, Stonemeyer is like, he always has like those like top level like productions and things. Absolutely. And like that's just kind of what Jamie's decided he's going to do with his games, is just have production top notch or whatever. And I think Bonacore and Stronghold made a great game with Terraforming Mars. Like, I don't fault them for what they did, because like you said, there are a lot of games out there that have the same gameplay like problems as Terraforming Mars. I think it kind of got into like that, like you said, it kind of became a meme of like, this is the thing you make fun of Terraforming Mars for, and that's just kind of now it is what it is,
for good reason. Mick's got a good point. The Terraforming Mars art was just not really good. The dog, I've picked on Bonacore a million times. The dog showing up on Mars just didn't feel very thematic. But comparing to Underwater Cities, I think that Underwater Cities, when you're building out the little cities themselves, it's so much more of a more interesting mechanic than putting the tiles on Mars itself. It's kind of the least interesting part of Terraforming Mars, when it should be the most interesting part. Maybe that's why I lose all the time, because maybe I'm not focusing on. Maybe you score better if you're playing tiles on there. And this is weird for me to say, Steve, because I love tile-laying games. I mean, it's probably my number one favorite type of game. But for some reason, the tile-laying in Terraforming Mars never does it for me. Whereas I love building out the city in Underwater Cities. I just love putting out those bubbles and straws and all those things. It's just
isn't the big box that's coming out, doesn't it have a bunch of like 3D tiles and stuff that really bling it out and upgrade it?
That's
that
why
might make it better for you.
You asked the Kickstarter question, Verla, and I was like, well, the basic game wasn't, but that they've done the last couple expansions have been Kickstarter, so it's like technically no, at least not the one I have, but yeah, they're doing like a big box that has like 3D tiles and like super high production level.
Right.
Evan's got the callback.
To make up for the original.
Evan's got the callback. He knows me. If there's a game and there's shiny little things all over the game, I'm going to be completely. I know I'm like the crab in Moana. I just get totally distracted, and you can take anything out of my treasury as long as you distract me with shiny baubles.
So we got BJ's Squirrel. Like Tamatoa.
I am. Is that it? Is that his name?
Tamatoa. Yeah.
A little Tamatoa the crab. So that's 4 different games that all came out at the same time. The Chat Krewe's got a lot of opinions on it, but if I were to rank them, I would go Scythe first, of course, and then I would probably go Underwater Cities, and I might go. I think I'm like Verla. I would go Great Western Trail, and then Terraforming fourth. The funny thing is, all 4 games I would be happy in my collection. I play them any day. They're all one of my top games of all time. But if I had to rank them, that's how I'd do it. Jordan?
I'd probably go Great Western, Terraforming Mars, Underwater Cities, Scythe.
Ooh, okay. Verla?
Definitely Great Western. I haven't played Underwater Cities, so that one's not going to count. Then Scythe, then Terraforming Mars.
Steve?
I can't participate because of those 4, the only one that I have played in person is Scythe.
So Steve has scythe, and scythe.
Oh, wait! Don't put words in my mouth here, BJ. Scythe, then Scythe.
Then scythe. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chat Krewe. I'm seeing a lot of love for Terraforming Mars. Evan says he hasn't played Underwater Cities yet. Got to get that played. Actually,
Nick-
there's a good. Is it Board Game Arena? Yukata?
I think they just got it on Yukata.
Yukata, yeah. I'm in the middle of a game right now where there's my second game, I think, with it. And so the cool thing about Yukata, as it always is, it's one of the Yukata versions, like Rogers of the Ganges, the dice game, or Concordia, where you can make your move, and as long as you're not drawing a card, you can retract it. So you can teach yourself strategy by going, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. If you do that at game night in Lafayette, Louisiana, on a Gumbo night, we're going to throw you out like a store.
That hand is going to be lost the moment you reach across the board to move it back again.
Oh, and I actually played a game with a person who no longer comes to our Gumbo game nights because that person did this all night. He would go, I could do this, blah, 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 and then we'd take it back. Or I could do this, blah, 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 and then we'd take it back. It made every game 3.5 hours. And I'm sorry, man. Tic-tac-toe just does not take 3.5 hours.
Nick is chiming in, losing Starla with the cute factor. I don't think you're going to have happy pigs on Mars, but maybe if you could convert them, in some way to, upgrade to chibis of some sort that are popular on Mars. I don't know.
No,
Marshall says Scythe, Terraforming Mars, GWT, and then Underwater Cities only because he hasn't played it. So, by the way, Scythe, Marshall has Marshall's buddy Robert has the site that's completely tricked out with the actual tiles that you put out. They're 3D. So the center, I always forget the name of it. The machine, the factory.
Yeah, the factory. Right.
A factory is a 3D representation of a factory that you put stuff on. Robert has every single thing you could have tricked out off of Etsy. It's fun to watch people play on a big giant table, the 7-player site that's completely tricked out. That's wow. So that is it. All right, Berla and Steve, I'm going to send you guys down. Anything else on the game? That was
no. Just enjoy as you send me and Berla down. Enjoy your solo victory, BJ.
Yes,
yeah, for sure. Congratulations.
Savor it.
I'd have to search the board because I don't get very many of those, man.
That's right. Savor it.
I don't know why. No, when you asked that question about cubes and he said yes, started drifting that way. So
all right, alley-oop to you.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Good job. Good job.
Down there. Don't win games very often. So that was a lot of fun. Let me get my closing out there. Yeah, Jordan. So Envie Game, Terraforming Mars. You had decided right away, or how did you come up with that?
So I actually picked Terraforming Mars because that's going to be the first game that we're going to talk about in season 2 of the No Cube Zone.
This is a chance. So we talked about it early in the podcast, but second chance. Tell everybody, what is the No Cube Zone? Where can people check it out? I listen to it on, of course, podcasts, but where can people find it?
So yeah, we are wherever finer podcasts are downloaded.
We're everywhere, right?
Yeah, on the podcast app of your choice. And if for any reason we're not, yell at me on social media and I'll make sure that we get there because I'm pretty sure we're at all the places, but if for whatever reason we're not there,
Spotify and Google Play,
Google Play, Apple Podcasts, all those good ones. But yeah, so we took a little bit of a break for the holidays, and both of my other co-hosts.
I was supposed to send you a file. Oh my god!
That's okay.
Oh,
it's all right.
Public mea culpa. I was supposed to send him a Merry Christmas. I didn't.
That's okay.
Sorry, Jordan.
But actually, Conniff and Rippy, they both had new additions to their family over our break. So congratulations to both of them that they've both got healthy babies now joining their families. So, but yeah, we're getting ready to start up again. We were supposed to record last night, but now Mr. Conniff and his family have COVID, so they are they're kind of laid up. So we're gonna delay ourselves a couple weeks, but I'm just kind of rolling with it, saying it's going to be our new tradition, because last year when we started, we were actually delayed by 2 weeks because there was something else that came up. There was an issue with the recording. So
Yeah,
it's our new tradition is just to be a couple weeks delayed. So it's
the Christmas episode was, if anybody wants a good introduction, the Christmas episode is really good because you have 2 podcasts that are on there. So you got 2 for the price of 1. You get all. I was actually impressed. I knew a lot of the people that had put in messages, but there was a couple of people that I'd never heard of. So you can also check out some friendly voices on there and see if there's some other podcasters that you want to check out. And then the whole episode is really good. It's a good recap of, you know, what season 1 was like, and then what's going to happen for season 2. Anything big planned?
There's a little bit of a spoiler at the end, or a little teaser. So
I'll let people listen.
Yeah, you can listen to the holiday episode at the very end. I'll just say there's a visit from our good friend Tony Lightning. So that's a little bit of foreshadowing for what's coming here in season 2, and why this game chuck full of cubes has made its way into the no cube zone.
The no cube zone. Well, all right, board gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. If people want to check you out on social media, where can they find you?
So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. If you search the No Cube Zone, we should pop up. It's the one that is the logo that looks much like but legally distinct from the Twilight Zone logo.
Completely distinct. Yes, it's more than 35% different from the main one.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm the main.
That was not legal advice, by the way. I'm not giving any legal advice.
Yes. Yeah. not official legal advice. But yeah, we're on all of those platforms. I'm the one usually running the social media accounts, but Conniff and Rippy do hop on there from time to time. You can also find us on our Discord server. We have links for that on our Twitter and Instagram. There's just a quick little questionnaire kind of about how you found us, fill it out, and then you can kind of hop in. We've got everything under the sun that we talk about in there. We've got board games, video games. There's a cooking channel, there's a home improvement channel, all sorts of different stuff. If you want to just hop in, and it's just kind of it's a group of people that are just kind of hanging out virtually, since we can't hang out in person.
So much of that going on. Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, and our YouTube channel. Helps us to get the word out, Jordan, of all of our upcoming shows, including next week. We're going to zig instead of zag. We're going to bring in Ash and Cameron from Sword and Scroll. We don't do a lot of RPG talk, but these are board gamers who also do tabletop DMing, where they get professional GMs with the sound and the lights and the atmosphere, and they'll run your game for you with the speaking parts and the NPCs. If you're curious at all, and I know Marshall and a bunch of others do play RPGs, Steve and his crew, if you're curious at all, come check out next week Ash and Cameron from Sword and Scroll. And then we'll have Keith Law coming up after that also. So that'll be fun. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. And until next time, Jordan, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Bye.